Good evening, everyone. This is Ceren İskit, and you are watching What's New, What's News. Yes, on this Sunday, Turkey will go for the local elections. Only 5 days to go. So I invited Ötesi Vote and Beyond Association today. They have some dedicated work during the elections, and it is very important for Turkey to keep secure the ballot boxes. So I invited Ötesi, member of the board of directors, Gülsen Ergün. Let me invite her. Welcome, Gülsen. How are you?
I'm good, Ceren. Thank you. How are you? Thank you for the invitation.
And thanks for joining us today. I know your schedule is tight. You've been all working as a volunteer in Ötesi Vote and Beyond, and I think you have a lot of work to do until the elections. Only 5 days to go now. So I won't keep your time a lot, but let's start discussing this YouTube session. Can you provide an overview of the current political landscape in Turkey leading up to the local elections?
Well, it's been just less than a year since we've gone to the ballot boxes for 2 times. The local elections are slightly different in public perception, than the general elections usually. There is, especially with the economic development since last May, I think it's quite fair to say the country is not yet in that atmosphere of elections right now. That hyper-tensed environment that we've lived through last April and last May is nowhere to be seen, not even in metropolitan cities where election results carry, let's just say, more political consequences than the rest of the country. There is some, of course, as in the nature of local elections, there is some excitement in the local sense of things, like local candidates, like basically people are voting for people that they already know, have it be the muhtars or the district council member candidates. There's that kind of a local level excitement everywhere, but as far as the country is concerned and the largest metropoles are concerned, we are not seeing as much excitement as we're used to seeing in Turkey just 5 days ahead of the elections right now.
I see. Yes. Well, Turkey has been facing a lot of elections recently, not recently, over the decade, I think. And I think mentally voters are feeling very tired, maybe. I don't know. But as you said, I agree with you. We didn't feel like it is like an election climate in Turkey, and I don't know how will it go, but I'm quite excited with the candidates and everything, so we will see. And Ötesi is a very dedicated association, especially for the elections, for Turkey's democracy, for Turkey's future. But we should introduce your association as well. What does Ötesi Vote and Beyond Association do during the elections?
Well, Ötesi was established in 2014. It is called Vote and Beyond, but we prefer to stick to the Turkish title. And this will be our 11th elections this year. And 31st of March actually is exactly the 10th year anniversary of the association. What we've been focused on has been non-partisan civilian participation in elections by way of using this concept of müşahitlik, sort of like official witnessing. That's part of the legislation on elections. So what we try to do is facilitate civilian participation in terms of the legislation, of course, on the election day, where people observe the entire process from the preparation to the entire voting period, and then the count of it, and then the documentation of it. So that's the gist of what Ötesi does, but it's on a broader concept, what we're aiming to do is contribute to the democratization process in Turkey, and to actually engage civilians in this democratization process. We've done a record-breaking year last year with the 2 elections in 2023. We've had about 200,000 people in the field across Turkey. Local elections have always been, like I said, slightly different than general elections. We're organizing in 49 cities this year. These were decided on. We first took into account the earthquake region from last year, but then we went along with the percentage of volunteers we've had on the field, just so that we have enough people to be able to organize in the field on the day without any security concerns. And so that's how we were preparing for these elections. But we, like you said, for the past decade, we've seen elections after elections in Turkey. The voters are quite tired as well. The purpose of naming the association Ötesi, like Vote and Beyond, were twofold. One, to move our volunteers in the field, to move them beyond voting and to take a more active role, and for us to actually go beyond election monitoring and contribute in other ways to democratization in Turkey. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that, because we have not seen a year without elections since we were founded. And in some years, we've had double elections in 2015 and then again in 2023. And yeah, so it's generally like in Turkey, we generally like to vote as a public, and in continental Europe, the electoral turnout in Turkey is rather higher than everywhere else. So like as the citizens of this country, we generally like to vote. But this time around, my personal opinion, this is the least motivated we've ever seen everybody.
And why is it so important for Turkey monitoring the elections, especially during the time when we go for the ballot boxes?
Well, unfortunately, Turkey has been incredibly polarized over the past decade. And what Ötesi actually is trying to do is, rather than being part of that side or this side, it's to just re-emphasize the importance of democracy and the general legitimacy in the public opinion as well of the elections, because people are at both ends of the spectrum are quite skeptical of one another. So what we were aiming to do, and our entire effort goes into staying nonpartisan and independent, and not being affiliated with either side or other elements involved in the entire election process, because these elements keep changing election after year, election after election, you know. But yeah, I don't know if this answers your question, but our entire purpose was to provide a platform to keep people engaged without forcing them to take a side on the entire thing.
I see. And I have another question, actually. How has Ötesi been preparing for these elections? What role do you foresee civil society playing in ensuring fair and transparent electoral process?
Well, in a quite democratic way, in contrast with last May, we have multiple candidates everywhere. Like, there's no consolidation on the two sides. There are no two particular coalitions. There are multiple candidates. There are about like 40-something candidates in Istanbul from the parties and independents. This should speak to democracy, but we'll see how it's going to turn out, because obviously it's whoever gets the highest votes wins, because it's different. This is not council elections or parliamentary elections. We have, like I've said before, we're organizing in 49 provinces this year, because we did anticipate some decline in motivation and volunteer registrations. We did not expect it to be this much. But we've just tried to make sure we are organizing in places where we have enough people to safely actually carry out our duties on the day. What we do, we basically, regardless of the number of registered volunteers, we do what we always do. We have this quite detailed, and I have to say quite like impressive education training procedure on the entire legislation on the elections. And we've been doing this since Ötesi was founded. Last year, we've had hundreds of trainings all over the country. We're doing that again. We're making things a bit more online right now, especially because we want to appeal to the young people, and they've suffered through the pandemic in hybrid university studies. So we've been doing closed online trainings, and we've been doing our face-to-face trainings. And today we've published our official Ötesi sandık güvenliği eğitimi, like official election monitoring training on YouTube, on our YouTube channel today. It's for public consumption. Obviously, our team will be advertising it on social media as well. What we do is we receive our volunteers, and we go beyond our volunteers, and we try to make our trainings as publicly available as possible, because we want everybody involved in this process. Have them be official ballot box committee members, have them be official müşahitler, official
volunteers,
observers on the ballot boxes, or have them be our volunteers, or even the general voter, let's just say. We want everybody to be familiar with the legislation, familiar with what counts as an valid vote and what counts as an invalid vote, how they're supposed to go, how the entire the ballot box sheet is supposed to go, how it's supposed to be prepared. We basically just want aware and knowledgeable people involved in the entire election and democracy process. That's what Orbit has been working on.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, that the motivation is not high during this time of the elections, actually with the local elections. Are there, but I want you to extend a little bit more, because considering the last election in 2023, I heard that the numbers who were volunteer for securing the ballot boxes have dropped a little bit. Why there are, I mean, is there any notable change or trends in the voter behavior or participation? Because this is a little bit concerning when you consider the security of the ballot boxes during the election day. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, it's a general, like, I can't really think of much else other than people being tired, people being disappointed, either with the results or what happened, what followed the elections from last May. But generally, people appear to like not, they're just not concerned with the elections. I think there's a fundamental mistake, as in when people think the elections at hand don't really carry political consequences, they tend to care less about it. Whereas, I don't know, especially in large cities, it does have political consequences. Okay, setting Istanbul aside, obviously, because in Turkey, we attribute certain political weight to the office of Istanbul mayor. Obviously, it was such a big deal when the mayorship switched from AK Party to CHP in 2019, because it had been over 20 years. And so like Istanbul gets some attention, definitely. But even in Istanbul, you see people unwilling to vote. My personal opinion is that even these people that say they don't want to vote, they don't want to go and they don't actually want to go and cast their vote, I think that's going to be a bit like, even people that say they're not going to vote, I think they're going to show up on Sunday and actually cast their ballots. But in terms of the ballot box security, we see very similar problems with the political parties, which is a lot more concerning than our situation as Ötesi, because what we were doing was supposed to be supplementing their efforts. We were basically trying to create this awareness of the issue of ballot box security. I want to think that we've moved a lot of parties to actually take it a lot more seriously. We don't have the numbers we would like to have 5 days ahead of the elections right now, and we keep going. I know your platform is not the place for it, but me and our team, like, we keep going on these media contests and asking people to just actually show up. And I don't know whether people just assume somebody else would do it and they're just tired and they don't want to actually take part in it. But basically, it's more like people don't want to hear about politics and people don't want to hear about elections. They're just so tired. They don't want to hear from us. They don't want to hear from parties. And I think it's a general frustration from last year, regardless of the result. and everything, the state of the economy and how difficult everything has become in Turkey since last May. And it's a general sense of this despair, this disillusionment. It's just basically lack of interest. I can't really put it in any other words.
I see. Well, when I think of Ötesi, when they established after the Ankara's local election, as far as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think this is vital for every citizen to go and vote first, and also monitor the ballot boxes, because I mean, some part of Turkey, especially earthquake zone, we will come to that. Actually, I want to ask you, how did you organize with the general election? And also, how do you organize during that time? Because I think earthquake zone is very important. And how did you manage to do that there, actually?
Well, last year we were quite dedicated to making sure our organization in the earthquake zone was quite as efficient as it could be. We've dedicated the majority of our resources to that region, financial and non-financial, let's just say. And it was a bit more challenging last year because it was very soon after the earthquake, actually very soon after the disaster. People who were displaced, people who had to move out of their cities, were still registered in their cities. We've collaborated with other NGOs and other stakeholders in this crowdfunding of microfinancing people's travels to be able to actually go and vote, because people had to leave their cities. Let's just say they had to go to Ankara from Kahramanmaraş, or they had to go to Izmir from Hatay, but they wanted to be able to have a say in the future of Maraş and future of Hatay. So they wanted to be able to not vote for Izmir, but actually vote for Hatay, and not vote for Ankara, but actually vote for Maraş. So we took part in everything that was available to us. Let's just say we had more dedicated and professional. Normally we organize with volunteers all over the country, but particularly last year we've actually had professional workers trying to organize the field operation in particularly these cities. And with these elections, we sort of try to feed off of that momentum that we've gathered last year. But we're low on the numbers, and if we're low on the numbers, our organization, of course, is going to suffer in terms of operational expansion. But yeah, the earthquake region is still incredibly important. Like only maybe 20% of their problems have been solved so far. But in terms of elections, it's a bit more established this year. Like I think where they're going to vote and how people are going to vote is a bit more settled than it was last May. But yeah, when we were trying to best utilize our resources and made the decision to not organize all over the country, the earthquake region and the 17 officially recognized cities were the top of our list.
I see. That's important. And my last question, we're coming to an end now. And I want to ask audience, if they have any questions, please drop your message to the chat box, so I will be able to ask Gülsen about it. My last question, is there any incidents like we experienced before in the big cities, you think?
We're actually, especially in lack of interest, we're not really that concerned about or that geared up for something in particular. Of course, Istanbul is going to be tense, but we don't expect it to be like last year either. One concern is that we see our number of registered volunteers are low, but we see very similar problems with the parties as well. And we've been hearing about official calls to just regular voters, regular citizens, where they've been assigned election duty. And so what of course, people that are assigned the duty are going to perform it, but this is precisely why we want the parties to work more, and we're actually working more to bring educated and rather well-trained people to the ballot boxes, just to well monitor everything and to ensure that there are no concerns with regards to whatever the outcome of it is, that there are no concerns over their legitimacy. There's another challenge this year. Like we have 2 voting hours. One in the east, they're going to start voting at 7 and finish at 4. Here in the west, I'm in Istanbul, we'll start at 8 and finish at 5. But also this is coinciding with Ramadan, which is going to have its own challenges, especially because local elections means in large cities we're counting 4 separate election results. Like we have the metropolitan vote, we have the district mayor vote. Yeah, so it's going to be a long count, and it's going to coincide with the iftar time, and especially in the east, the startup, because if they're going to start voting at 7, they have to start the official preparation of it at 6. That sahur time is about an hour before that, an hour and a half before that. So it's just going to be a difficult day. I think the more people are at the ballot boxes, the just easier it's going to be. This is not a matter of being a watchdog for something that might happen. It's about like taking off the workload from somebody else. There are more people that are at the ballot boxes, especially if you're well trained, because we don't necessarily know how the parties train their officials, but we know how to train our volunteers. And like, it's one thing we take pride in. Like whenever our volunteers are on the field on the election day, we keep getting these praises about how knowledgeable they were about the entire legal aspects of everything. So what we're trying to do is get the parties to actually do their job, but also to get more volunteers, because we're very confident in how we train and send them out into the field. We just need more people to be able to overcome whatever problems that might occur that day.
We have a question actually. Esra Uçar, she asked in Turkish, but I will translate, how people can be volunteer for Oy ve Ötesi, Vote and Beyond. Thanks for this question, Esra.
Thank you, Esra. Well, basically, you can go to oyveötesi.org or RG. Through that, you can follow our, since Esra has asked in Turkish, our website for registration is gönüllüyönetimi.org. But you can follow it through the Oy ve Ötesi website as well. And our official training is on YouTube as of today, and it's going to be on our social media accounts. It might be even as I was speaking to you, that it might have been posted. So like they can definitely follow up with what we're doing. We particularly need lawyers and lawyers in the field as well. So if people can actually sign up and motivate people around them to sign up, because the more our numbers are, the more organized we will be. And we find it very crucial that Oy ve Ötesi volunteers contribute to this entire process throughout the country.
I see. We have another question. This is Turkish as well, but I will translate. Many people doesn't want even vote for this election. What would you like to say about that? Thanks for the question for Emre. Yes, people don't want to
actually go out and vote
for a ballot box to vote. So what's your comments on that?
Well, I think people's motivation as the day arrives on Sunday, like even people that say, like I've said before, even people that say they don't want to vote, they'll wake up on Sunday morning, and depending on the local atmosphere, they're going to go out and vote. With how things are going in Istanbul, I don't expect anybody to actually stick about on voting. But elsewhere in the country, I don't know how people can be motivated to do that. What we're trying to do in our communication, in Oy ve Ötesi's communication, is to actually demonstrate to people that local elections do matter as well. Maybe not on a macro level like the general elections, but you're actually electing the people that collect your trash, that prepare your local area for imminent Istanbul earthquake, or else, like Turkey is an earthquake region anyway. You're electing the people that like take care of your street animals. You're taking care of the people that actually these are actually things that have a say in our daily lives. You walk out from your house and then you're on the street, and everything that you're going to vote for on Sunday is going to be in front of you for the entire day. Like, you don't see the parliament in your daily life, in your everyday life. But with the local elections, you're actually electing the people that contribute to the quality of your life in the day.
Well, yes, as a student, we have this responsibility to vote. This is what I think as well. This is for the this is your right. This is your democratic right to vote. I know mentally everyone is now feeling very, very tired, but I think please go for your ballot box and please vote whoever you support. Well, another question for the security of the ballot boxes. Can everyone just join the training that you do? Also, Nihan Çeliker asked that one.
Yeah, no. Ötesi trainings have always been open to public everywhere, especially our face-to-face trainings too, for operational purposes and to just make sure our volunteers find a comfortable platform. We've done some closed circuit online trainings this year, but our YouTube video is online right now, and we're going to try and do some live Q&A sessions as well. But we have our calendar posted, our face-to-face education, training calendar posted on eğitim.oyveötesi.org. So you can try and see if there's one up and coming in your city, and you're more than welcome. Our doors are always open, and I keep saying it. I'm so sorry, but it's such an important thing. Our official video is on our YouTube channel. We've just posted it today, and everybody's welcome.
Okay, let me include this as well, so people can have a note. They can check the training from this link.
Exactly. Thank you, Ceren.
And also if they can go to gönüllüyönetimi.org, they can be volunteer for this coming local elections. Thank you very much for joining me today. I know your schedule is very tight and you're struggling with the training and everything. Can I have your last words before you go?
My last words, we want volunteers. I know that your platform is not ideal for it, but we definitely do. And thank you for all your support in that matter. Our last words is basically just we've been doing this for 10 years. 31st of March actually is exactly the 10th year anniversary for Oy ve Ötesi. We're just going to keep doing this. We have this Turkish slogan, sandık varsa biz de varız. We're quite dedicated to staying involved, and we want to stay dedicated to getting people to stay involved as well.
Thank you, Gülsen, for joining us today. I think you made out some important points for the local election, and please stay safe and good luck with the keeping monitoring for the ballot boxes, and good luck. Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Well, yes, we spoke about how important is actually keeping the ballot boxes during the local election, during the elections actually in Turkey. How to secure the ballot boxes is very vital in Turkey, and it's your people's democratic right to do that. So please do join as a volunteer for Oy ve Ötesi. And if you have other questions, leave your messages so I can lend it to Gülsen after this session. On Friday, to 12:30, we will have another subject to talk. Engin Solakoğlu, retired diplomat, will join me that day for the discussion, because recently in Russia we faced another terrorist attack, and we will speak about why did it happen? Was it affiliated with the Ukraine-backed terrorist attack? How will it affect Turkey during that time? So tune in on Friday. We will have a lot to talk. Till then, have a lovely evening and see you on Friday. Bye-bye.